Hey y'all, it is Moonlight Cowboy, and today we're going to be doing a requested tutorial. I've had this request for let's just say I get it about once every few months for how do I build my cranes. I never did one before because I found it to be kind of easy for me, but I'm also realizing just because it's easy for me and because I've been doing it for years doesn't mean it's going to be the same for everybody, right? So cranes, especially for sky builds or builds that are up on cliffs and things, they really make a difference. They add a bit of believability, um, immersion, and for these smaller builds, it's also really nice for decorating purposes as well because you tend to not use up all of your budget when you're building up a high, like say that build that's on the screen right now, or even that build. There's not a lot of room to build up there. So, anyways, it's a good use of budget. It adds a bit of, like I said, believability. It actually looks like it functions as a camp. And anyhow, yeah. So there's a few ways that I do it. I'm going to show you 4 different techniques. You can kind of mix and match between the different techniques to create one that you like for your camp. This first one here, what I'm doing is I am adding a full wall and then, a little catwalk action off of there. Like so. So I did like a small catwalk, 90-degree angle catwalk, and a medium length one. And now I'm going to add posts. Again, this is where it kind of comes down to taste. I really like these posts. I want to say those are the enclave posts, right? But anyways, I like those because they look like thicker crane legs. I'm going to do some cranes without those ones, so with the regular stairs post too, for those of you who don't have the enclave set. But essentially what you'll see here is I'm going to line these posts up right next to each other. There we go. So I'm going to do 3 of them. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions about the relaxed building update. A lot of what you see here will still be relevant for that update because you're still going to need to snap things to each other. Otherwise, you can free place anything, but it doesn't mean that it's going to go in the right place. It's going to look hokey. So you still want to use snapping in a lot of cases because of the accuracy that snapping provides. I mean, it's 100% accuracy, right? Anyhow, with that said, what I did was I destroyed all 3. I added a catwalk, and then I'm going to add more catwalks. Essentially, that middle stair post right now is just a placeholder for me to be able to add these catwalks. I'll probably end up deleting that middle one here in a minute, and because I destroyed that stair post, when I remove that middle post, after I snap the catwalks to it, the catwalks aren't going to go away. Watch this. They stay in place. And that works with just about any snappable item that you can destroy. If you destroy it, place an item that snaps to it, and then remove the destroyed one, the other one should stay in place. Now, this is a trick you're going to see a few times today. Notice with this catwalk, I am adding a wall to the end there, and that's because I'm going to use that to snap my roof platform in. By doing this snapping motion here like this, I know that it's going to be directly underneath where I need it to be. It's going to be perfectly level. For some of you scrappy builders, or for a bit of immersion, you might have to do say a free place wall or a free place roof when the relaxed building update comes into play. You'll be able to free place roofs and be able to do it that way too. But for now, we're just going to do the old school snapping method. And I'm just walking it down by angling the roofs, so that way it's a little lower than the cliff. From here, I could add more catwalks, or I could, maneuver the roof to be a little closer. In this case, I'm just adding the catwalks. And then, as you notice, I'm using the destroyed roof. The destroyed roof kind of gives it the sense of a pallet look, is what I was kind of going for with that. Just because the crane is nice doesn't mean that the thing that it's lifting has to be, right? So for me, that's my touch of immersion. Now, actually all of these cranes are going to involve some form of conduit, because the conduit has the wires that will look like that they are supporting the lift. And from here, I'm just going to go ahead and add the wires to the two conduits, so the corresponding ones down below. And what we'll find is that they'll be like way off, right? So we're going to be able to maneuver those those wires and the conduits down below to fix it. But first we just got to get them there. Another handy dandy trick is to change that roof into like a roof that it's easier to like see, like make sure they're all exactly where they need to be. I didn't do that for this one, but so I decided to struggle bust my way through. But I have a pretty good eye for alignment after doing building in Fallout for over 6 years, so I can do it pretty easily. We're just going to make sure that they all kind of align with each other. Yeah, and that came out okay. The key is that you don't want there to be a lot of bowing in your lines, because then it doesn't really look like it's holding it up. Now, to make it look more like a crane, we're going to add a little bit of decor items. So I'm going to add a generator. I like this mole rat generator when I'm making cranes because it gives a sense of movement. And I'm going to disguise some of this generator by merging down these safes. But in order to do that, I'm going to like bring them a little closer to each other by destroying one. Like so. That way they're face to face and it just kind of looks like a metal block. And I merge those down. Yeah, a little bit more. That's pretty good there. So now I can just put this on the back end here. So most cranes have like a counterweight to them. So this this essentially functions as both like aesthetics, counterweight, motor, what have you. Cool. Now the next part is, this is going to be for adding the stairs post that we're going to be using. So I didn't need that middle stair post to do this because I want the stairs post to be on the outside. I'm going to do it on the other side here to kind of give you another idea. By the way, that one stair post is backward. I'm going to show you how to fix that in a minute. One is backward, one is forward, and I need them both going the same way. But essentially, I just added those stair posts off the edge of the catwalk going down, removed one, and then removed the catwalks here. I'm also going to start thinking about how I'm going to run my lines so it makes sense. For this, I'm just going to use standard conduit. I also like there's like these Nuka-Cola conduits that kind of look like red gears that I like as well. This is where I noticed that the back side is jacked up. So to fix that, I'm just going to run my stair post back the way it was. And depending on which way the catwalks are going, it should just go down normally. So this time it's going the right way because I ran the conduits the other way. So notice the backside is the same on both. Or you probably will notice at some point because I went too fast there. There we go. Yep, they're the same. Good to go. So I added more conduits. So it looks like that there's lines kind of like, holding up that crane. I'm going to add some more of those stairs posts here because I felt like it was too broad of a span. There was too much bowing in those lines for it to be supporting the crane. So I added those stairs posts, and now I'm going to add a couple more conduits here. And believe it or not, this crane's almost done. It really didn't take that long to do. The other nice thing about having that generator in the back too is here in a minute you'll see I'm going to be able to run power to it because those lines, even though they function as like supports or pulleys and wires to be able to man the crane, they also actually function for power purposes. So there we go. Okay. So once if and when I connect those to the generator, it'll run power all the way down to the lift, and then I can add lighting to the lift. Oh my. I still need to fix that, because that's not, no bueno. Okay, that's a little better. All right. So again, running power, notice they're all lit up now. I just hooked up one of those lines to the generator, and notice they've got a little blinky light underneath. That adds, for cranes usually have little blinky lights, and then I added those calyx lights. Did I say that right? I probably didn't. Let me know in the chat if I screwed that up. All right, so next thing I'm going to do to add a little bit more, to make it feel more like a lift, is I'm going to add some of those consoles, those little computer consoles, if I can find them. There we go. So it won't let me place it inside like that, but what I can do is I can go off to the side here, and just like with anything else that snaps, I can just snap it through. I'm going to do the same with the other side in a minute. Not only does that look like it could be a control, but because it matches the same black as the stairs posts, it kind of looks like it's like a brace or feet to hold up give the crane some additional back end support. So now I'm just going to kind of move that over to the other side, like so, very carefully. I'm going to use this moment to also plug the fact that I finally started my own Discord. So for those of you who are looking to follow me on Discord, talk to me about things in game, ask me questions about building, reach me directly without hitting my comments, you may now join the Discord. Link is down below in the description. This crane's done. Now, obviously, I can add more stuff on the bottom there, on the lift part down there, like lights and things. But for now, I've got what I needed to do. This is my first crane I'm going to show you. Each crane's going to be a little bit different. So this one, for example, is more conduit. This is more geared for those of you who don't have like the Enclave stair post. I still think that this is an effective looking crane, and a lot of work went to making this crane look special. All right, so this time I'm going to start with my platform, but my platform is going to be different this time. It's still going to have that roof to start, but we're going to do something a little special. So I'm going to add a bridge as my crane piece. This does two things. One, the bridge is like a more unique looking piece, but the other thing too is it adds those nice railings on the side. So that way if you were lifting things or humans up to your camp, they wouldn't necessarily fall off. So it's kind of a twofer. So that'll be our lift this time, and I'm going to find whatever roof I decide. I think I'd go with the pavilion roof. Those are okay. I could have gone with something probably a little better, but for the purpose of this demonstration, it makes sense. So now we're using our stairs posts, adding our catwalk, and there we go. This time I'm going to go a little bit closer to the edge. But I'm like not as close to the edge with the posts themselves, but closer to the edge where that first catwalk was placed. And then we're going to add more of these catwalks, and we're kind of going to do a similar situation as we did with the last one. Now, if you notice that you can't place your catwalks for any reason, just destroy whatever's in the way, and you should be fine. Catwalks usually can snap through most items. It's a beautiful thing about them. All right. Number 2. We're going to do it one more time. And now we have 3 stairs posts in place. They won't all stay in the same spot that they're currently in. I'll like change it up and diversify it a little bit. But for now, this is what we got. So I've moved up 2 more half stairs posts, so that way I can use the bigger ones here. I'm going to remove that one for now. I'm going to end up putting it back just as a placeholder there. First thing I'm looking at is how I make this look more like a crane, right? So again, just getting creative with the items themselves. And so I have these right here. Something that I do regularly with those is sometimes I don't want to see the bottom of them. So what I will do often is I'll remove the foundation that they're on, and then I'll place them down below. If you choose not to do that, just line them up real nice. You can also destroy the post too to get them a little closer. What I'm doing here though is I'm basically creating placeholders for them, making sure that the alignment is perfect on them. So if they're going directly through the middle, notice they're a little off on that left-hand side there. I'm gonna fix that right now by just moving that guy over just a hair. And now I can connect them at the end. So they're the perfect distance apart where I can add connections as needed. And I basically just added a random set of, network of conduits down forward. Obviously you can see where they're going to go. As far as like the lines down below. I'm also adding more there. Like I'm changing up the conduits as well. I'm sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. Is I'm changing up the conduits as needed. I also added stairs posts above the conduits a little bit. That way I still get that kind of where it has the leverage, as you would see in any crane, or most cranes I should say. There we go. It's a little better. So again, when you're doing this, you can play with the ideas as well. Like you can kind of change it up to wherever you want the different conduits to be. My recommendation when you do this though, is just make sure that they are below, like when you're putting the platform below, the lines just need to be really, really tight there. I also decide at this point that I'm going to add the ones with power, instead of the other ones that I had there initially. In order to do that, I'm just going to snap those guys in, like so. There we go. And this way I'll have a little bit of additional like power option. When I fumble around with it, it'll hopefully look pretty good. And this is kind of why I didn't do a crane tutorial before, because some of this is just kind of like touch and go. But I'm figuring with the ideas you guys are going to see here, you'll have some better sense of how you can do this as well. So this is one of the fun parts of doing things like this, and this will go away with the Relax Building update, is you kind of have to spam place these a little bit. You see how it flashes green for like a split second? If you do this enough times and spam can, attach wire, you will get it to, like so, you'll get it to snap in. It's a pain to do and just tedious. I trimmed out a lot of time on that. It took me a lot longer to do that than you saw. Alright, so for the next thing, I'm going to add a generator to the back this time. And this could have been a regular generator. It didn't have to be the mole rat one, just as a heads up. So, like, you didn't have to do this one. If you don't have it, like, say you wanted to make a crane, pretty much everything that you just saw, with the exception of the bridge and this generator, was done with in-game items. So you don't need to have Atom Shop items to make a, halfway decent-looking crane. But I did end up using the mole rat generator for that, and then all I did was I just put it on that conduit and I centered it there again, kind of that counterweight piece. Now I can just attach those wires, and then I can just attach all those wires. And I'm doing it in a way that, you know, hopefully looks aesthetically correct. The more complicated that they like network, sometimes the better. Now I'm going to add my conduits down below. Again, I'm going to use the same methodology. I just want to make sure that they're connected and they look like they're supporting it and not just there, and not like all janky like I tried to do in the last one. But because on this one I used that pavilion at first, that pavilion roof set, it'll be much easier for me to line that up. I could always push those back. Now we're going to add, though, that next crane. What I did was I just used catwalks, or I'm sorry, the stairs posts. I used catwalks off of the wall to add those stairs posts. And then I have a third stair post that looks like it's supporting that generator. And I don't think that crane looks bad at all. I think you could do that looking real nice without using a lot of Atom Shop items, or no Atom Shop items if you so chose. All right, so this one's a fun one. So I've shown you a couple with the stairs posts. This one doesn't have any stairs posts. It still has conduits, but I'm going to show you. This one, I like this one for like a more low-key, low-profile version. So what I did, I catwalked off of that foundation so I can add some flooring here. Now, I overcomplicate this a little bit. You don't have to do it as overcomplicated as what I did here, but you'll see why I did it here in a little bit. So this roof that's hiding in there, it's going to be hiding a lot better here in a minute because I'm going to lift my foundations up. It won't be flickering, I promise. Because I get it sometimes, like you can't be helped, but whenever I can help it, I try and avoid the flickering at like pretty much all cost. Foundation will go into place, get my camp device there. So you're probably wondering why Moon, why are you doing this? This looks like a lot of work for this crane. Well, what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to hide that roof down below. I've raised the build up a little bit. And I can always add that back, right? Because I have that wall in place over there. Now when I put this roof down and I flatten it, it actually hides into the ground. That's going to come in handy very soon. I'm going to go ahead and remove it, and I'm going to add this power armor station. Now you could use a lot of different power armor stations. Not all of them, but this is a great one because it has the lights on it. Because I put it on that roof, I can now add my foundation, and I can build things in place there. And I'm using the army based roof because it has that lip. You could use any roof you want, but I use that because it's easier to destroy when it's hidden. Now I'm going to move this out of the way because remember earlier when I said that I like to use these conduits, sometimes I'll remove the foundation or whatever flooring is in the way. This is exactly what I was talking about. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure they're in perfect position. I'm going to use these little like 90-degree ones. And then I am going to double check to make sure that they are all 100% in position. By using these longer conduits to see where they line up with the actual power armor station. Because even though the power armor station's been moved forward, it's exactly in the place it will be, just back one square. And I need to go over just a little bit, as you can see here, which we are going to do momentarily. I can now just take that one, move it over. I feel pretty confident that it's going straight. It will probably take you a few tries to get it right, because you don't want it to be like crooked going off of the power armor station. But I do know that these are straight now. I will be able to use the pieces to check them. I did check them off video. And what I'm doing now is I'm adding roof over to the side here. And you're thinking, why? Why, Moon? Trust me, I have a method to my madness. Okay, so what I'm also doing here is I'm adding these conduits first up front, and then I'm removing all the other ones, and then I'm going to add conduits going back. And the reason for this is these conduits are going to be placeholders. See how they held their place? Now, I'm going to destroy that roof. Unfortunately, it's going to break those conduits. Oftentimes, the thing the conduit's floating over controls its destination, but that's okay, because we got what we needed. We kept the place, and we were able to move the power armor station back in place. Now I can add those other placeholders back behind it, and then I can destroy this roof thing again, which is going to allow me to pull these things forward. I'm going to go +1 forward, because I'm going to end up using that +1 to add the long, tall conduit that goes up and down. It's like the only one that does go up and down instead of like horizontally. All right. Yeah, that looks great. And because, again, that roof was destroyed, I had no issue getting that into place. The other thing I'm going to do, too, here in a minute, is I'm going to add the long ones now. Because it still has to go out, right? We got to get it past the cliff, otherwise it's not really a believable lift. I also added a couple of those terminals in the back, too. That was super easy to do when I destroyed the power station. I'm going to go out probably a little bit further than that. But first, let's destroy that roof because it makes it a lot easier. I'm also adding these beautiful conduits. I love these on cranes. They're a pain to place, but they add a lot of extra motion. Like my wife says, I'm distracted by bright shiny objects, right? So this is a bright shiny object. I'll find it distracting. Therefore, I will like the camp a little bit more. Again, because that power armor station is on the roof, it's really easy to navigate through this. Now, they're a little bit crooked, where they're a little bit off, I should say, so I could just break that again, and then just move it over a hair. Easy stuff. And now it should look just about perfect there. I end up so I initially wanted to start with the top there, but on this particular crane, I end up going where all the wires are hanging instead of coming from above. And I think that's okay. For a low-profile crane lift like this, I think that looks good. Again, the purpose is that it's believable. But if you notice, there's still something missing, and that's the item that we're going to be using to be actually using the lift for, right? So, what are we going to do? Well, first things first, we're going to get our roof in place. Now, I'm not going to use a roof this time. I wanted to do something different for each crane I did. This time, we're actually going to lift an item. To me, if I use my imagination, I can imagine that this is like an elevator cart. Like you would see going down a mine shaft or something like that. So I'm going to use this as that piece. Then what I'm going to do, and this took a lot more time than I showed in film, but what I do is I get the pieces, like the conduits and the wires, to line up perfectly. Because I'm only going to have, if I screw this up, it's going to be a pain to redo it. So I'm going to do a lot of movement here on this, which means I'm going to have to move this thing over. I want these to be perfectly centered on this one in the middle. Otherwise, in theory, based on actual real life physics, they would be it would be angling or like, you know, it would go up crooked. We can't have it look like it should be going up crooked. So we're going to make it like absolutely perfect. Which means I'm going to have, this is the part that took a while, was moving around that conduit. I did get it straight there. So there's a reason why I merged it down into that conduit. And I'm going to show you right now. Because we're not going to keep it on that roof, right? Instead, we're going to do something cool. This won't be a problem with the new Relax Building update. But this still could be an easy way to make sure it's perfectly aligned. But if you notice, I just moved that by the conduit. I removed the roof. I'm adding those conduits back. And then, if I can grab this tiny little conduit, there we go. Boom. And then all I have to do is remove those other ones, and it looks like it's floating. Man, I think that looks really cool. I added a little motor up there too, so it looks like it's like the engine on top of the elevator shaft. But anyways, I thought that came out pretty cool. I have used the power armor stations before in this in this way. For this last one, I think I've shown you enough ways where you can do the, you know, like the item that you're lifting. I'm going to call it lift pad for ease of use. So I just did the crane here. And the big difference in what I'm doing this time is I'm doing a double double catwalk. I did it. So I'll put our catwalk there. Notice I destroyed the one catwalk. It made the other catwalk stay in place. And now I have my, we can get rid of that probably. Yep. Because this one is kind of easier. So what we're going to do is now we just go ahead and add our, we're going to add our catwalks. I'm going to do long ones. And what you're going to see here in a minute is I'm going to end up destroying a lot of them. I basically kept the one, and now I'm going to add another one. I'm going to destroy that one. And you'll see why I'm doing what I'm doing in a minute. I want to be able to remove those other ones here in a second. Because essentially what we want to do is we want to merge these catwalks together. Now, the way that I'm doing it won't allow for that to be placed on the back end. So what I decide to do instead, let me just destroy that real quick. Notice it's not allowing me to add it. So watch this. So there's a workaround for this. What we're going to do is I'm going to restart this, just that part. I normally have my crane there. I just wanted the back end. So the reason I showed you all that up first is because that's one way to do it. I do want it to be rounded in the back. So if you wanted the back end to be rounded, here's how you would do it. You would just destroy, add the next one. This time I'm destroying them first instead of adding another one. I'm going to destroy that one. I'm going to add that one. And the reason I destroyed them is now I can remove them without those other catwalks going away. Which means that if those are removed, I can destroy these without them interfering with the catwalks coming back. And that makes it a lot easier. So now I can do all of the things I wanted to do. Again, you could have done it the other way if you didn't want the back rounded. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we're all done. I really got to choose a different weapon at some point in my life. I got to quit being lazy. All right. One of these days they're gonna make the bows like OP, you know. Fingers crossed. I mean, I do pretty good damage, but like, you know. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add these Sarah's post too, just so that way they're there. I'm going to remove everything else just to make sure it's out of the way, even though I shouldn't have any problem with it. And the reason being is I want some more texture. So I'm going to use these little power pylons as more of like a back brace or brace for the posts. But it's gonna, I think it adds just a touch of like extra. So it does take a little bit of finagling to get them exactly where you want them to be. It probably took me about like 10 minutes to get them like lined up where I felt pretty good about them like that. I still hadn't done. I move it over just a touch here as well. Again, I feel like I have like one shot at this because the last thing I want is somebody to come into my camp and be like, "Well, Moonlight, I thought you were a good builder, but you screwed this up, right?" And then I look like I don't know what I'm doing. And why am I doing tutorials if I don't know what I'm doing? So, anyways, now I have those nice little cool braces. I'm going to remove these for now as well because I just want to be able to snap my catwalks through. This is another neat trick too, by the way. So notice I used two halves up there. When I did that, I was able to merge another stairs post into the stairs post, so that way I get basically two full-length stair posts to merge into each other, where it's only 1.5 stair posts high, which is another really cool trick that I learned a while back from just screwing around. All right, now I'm going to destroy everything so I can finally bring those catwalks back into place. I've got all my posts where I need them to be. Just going to church this up a little bit. And now you'll see what I meant by the rounded back end that I know I kept talking about. Like, oh, what is this thing? It's like the Holy Grail that you keep talking about. Well, I think it makes a difference. Because I am merging these catwalks together. It gives it more of a rounded look in the front and in the back. You do have a little bit of clipping through there, but I honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. I repair all, and that is essentially the crane in a nutshell. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my posts now as well. I'm going to use little half stair posts. I'll probably end up respacing these here in a minute. I just want to get them in position. And there we go. Almost got them all added. Go and repair everything again. Again, this is where the the creativity side comes from all of you. You'll see here in a minute, like with the spacing on these or the realism you're looking for, it's really going to be in the eye of the beholder. For this one, though, I'm going to go ahead and use these top conduits, at least in the first two. I do end up changing this up a little bit, so I don't use it in all of them. And again, I do change the spacing. But in a nutshell, what you would end up doing here is you would just have your your posts and you would just run the lines through them, right? Like so. So the reason why I end up changing the spacing on this is I felt like it was too procedural after a while, and it dipped down too far too fast. I thought it should have stretched out a little bit more. So again, this is an easy fix. All we have to do, we have all of the stairs posts in place. We can just start removing them, except for the ones we don't want to have. So like, I think that that's a much better use of like stretching out the line to make it look a little more realistic. So then what I can do from here is I can just remove those up top so I can place catwalks on these again, and I can just stretch out the catwalks a little bit more. See what I'm doing there? I'm just adding another stairs post after I added that catwalk to give it a little bit more spacing. I'm going to do it again. And now I'll have the spacing that I want. And I think this will look a little bit more believable, more immersive. Cool, so we have that part of the crane. I'm going to go ahead and add my underneath conduits like we've done for pretty much all of the builds. This part gets a little tricky because you have to do a lot of that like where you're spamming to get the line to go through in order to get this to work right. See what I'm doing there? I did that a lot for this. It took me a lot longer than I'd like to admit to get that to spam correctly up there. And then I end up changing it up a little bit. I'm going to do that safe trick in the back, so that way I have that weighted look in the back like you see on some cranes. This time, though, I'm just going to merge them together. It makes the most sense to do. Line it up and just merge them down. Doesn't have to be super perfect. I know that's weird coming from me, but we're going to put something on top of them anyway that's going to hide that. I'm going to use the Vault-Tec nightstand to put on top of it to add even more touch of flair. I'm also going to add these conduits to the front this time. I have a little bit more catwalk real estate that I can use with that overlap. It'll hide the overlap a little bit, or at least make it look a little more intentional. And then I can still wire up there and down below to the first catwalk or first conduits underneath. And then it'll look even more like it's there for support. I just added a decor piece there. Again, I feel like it just adds a touch. And then we have the nightstand that I put up top. And then I'm going to go ahead and add these as like kind of a pulley system. Again, I'm going to have to do that stupid spam thing. You won't have to worry about this with the new update, just so you guys know. But yeah, that's essentially what my crane's going to look like. I end up changing up this a little bit too, just to give it a little bit of a different look than my other cranes. You can use these Nuka-Cola wheels. They do kind of look like they're sprockets. So I ended up bringing it to where it was like, where it had like a bigger dip in the middle, basically. And I thought that looked pretty cool. So that's what I ended up going with. Yeah, so anyhow, that's going to probably do it for my crane tutorial. There's probably many other ways to do cranes, but these are how I've done them and made them look pretty cool. Again, I didn't do a platform to lift off of on that one, but I thought you all got the point on that. I hope you found this helpful, inspiring. I hope you guys come up with cooler cranes than even I do. I think my cranes come out pretty good, but, you know, again, I've seen cooler, and maybe this will be the foundation for you to create one that's cool too. Thank you so much, and you all have a blessed day.